Hello everyone and welcome to lesson 24.2a. I've entitled this video, The Aborigines. This video is going to cover pages 740 to 741. First people. Ancient tools, cave paintings, rock art, and fossilized human remains provide clues that humans traveled to this region from other places on Earth. There is still some debate, however, about where the early people came from and when they first arrived in the region. Most scientists agree that the lands of Australia and New Zealand existed for millions of years before the first human settlers arrived. Question 1. In regards to the history of Australia and New Zealand, what do most scientists agree? That Australia and New Zealand were around for millions of years before humans finally arrived there. Aboriginals of Australia. Fossil evidence shows that humans began migrating to Australia at least 50,000 years ago. At that time, much of Earth's surface water was frozen, and sea levels were hundreds of feet lower than they are today. Areas that are underneath the ocean today were exposed above the surface of the water. This created land bridges and peninsulas over which groups of people left New Guinea and walked across to Australia. Other migrating groups from the Asian mainland may have traveled longer distances by boat. These early people journeyed far and wide across the land, even to the island of Tasmania. In time, humans settled the entire Australian continent. Question number 2. According to fossil evidence, when did humans begin to migrate to Australia? At least 50,000 years ago. Question 3. How were people from New Guinea able to get to Australia back in that time period? Well, they crossed land bridges and peninsulas, which they could cross because things were different back then. They could cross these land bridges that existed back then that don't exist today due to the sea levels and the changing of Earth. The first people of Australia are known as Aboriginal people. They generally lived a hunter-gatherer lifestyle. These early people survived by gathering fruits, roots, and other plant parts for food and by hunting animals. They developed a flat, bent wooden weapon called a boomerang. Hunters threw the L-shaped boomerang to stun their prey. If the boomerang missed, it curved and sailed back to the hunter. Question number 4. Who were the Aboriginal people? Those were the first people to live in Australia. Question 5. How did the Aboriginal people survive back in that time period? They were hunter-gatherers. They survived by gathering fruit and roots and other plants, and then of course they hunted animals. Question number 6. What is a boomerang? That was the flat, bent wooden weapon that was thrown by the hunters in that area to try to stun their prey, and then of course they would kill it, and then the thought would be if the boomerang missed, it could curve back and come back to the hunter. Early settlements. Some hunter-gatherers were nomadic, moving from place to place, following animals or searching for water sources. Nomadic people did not practice farming. The only domesticated animals they owned were dingoes. Dingoes are a species of domestic dog first brought to Australia from Asia about 4,000 years ago. Today, wild dingoes roam free in the outback and other parts of Australia. There is controversy regarding the animal's suitability as a pet. Question number 7. What did nomadic people do to survive? They moved from place to place, usually following the animals or searching for water sources. Question number, we're on number 8. What are dingoes? Dingoes were a species of domestic dog that were first brought to Australia from Asia about 4,000 years ago, and now today in the outback they roam free as wild dingoes. Other Aboriginal people settled permanently in one location. Some settled in the rainforest of the northeast. Some made their homes in the mountains of the Great Dividing Range. Others traveled as far as the humid lands of the southeast and the island of Tasmania. Some even learned to live in the harsh, dry lands of the outback. Eventually, Aboriginal settlers began farming the land. Aboriginal culture. Traditional Aboriginal culture takes many forms. Aboriginal peoples live in different parts of Australia, develop their own languages, religions, traditions, and way of life. It was difficult for separate tribes of native people to communicate with one another because about 400 different languages were spoken across Australia. Yet many of Australia's native people share a number of common beliefs and cultural traditions. Aboriginal culture is closely connected to the natural world. Australia's native cultures have traditional beliefs about the creation of Earth and of plants and animals. They use song, dance, poetry, drama, storytelling, and visual arts to retell the creation story known as the dreaming or the dream time. The creation story tells how the spirit ancestors created the world around them, the universe, and the laws of life, death, and society. The concept of dreaming is central to many of Australia's native cultures, social structures, and belief systems. Music, dance, storytelling, and other art forms remain an important part of Aboriginal culture. Question number 9. Why was it difficult for separate Aboriginal tribes to communicate with each other? Well, because there's about 400 different languages spoken across Australia, so many times the tribes were not speaking the same language. Question 10. What is Aboriginal culture closely connected to? It's closely connected to the natural world. Question number 11. What are some ways in which Aboriginal people retell the creation story known as the dreaming or the dream time? Well, they will often use song or dance or poetry or drama or storytelling or the visual arts to retell the creation story known as the dreaming or the dream time. And question number 12. What is the creation story according to the Aboriginal people? The creation story tells how the spirit ancestors created the world, the universe, and the laws that govern life, death, and society. Well, thank you so much for watching. Before we go, I've got a couple of things for you. Forgot where I put my boomerang. Then it came to me. Or, if you didn't like that one, boomerangs are frisbees for people with no friends. Ooh. Or, final one here. When Chuck Norris throws a boomerang, it's too scared to come back. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.